Now, without any further delay, let me give an introduction to our distinguished and eminent speaker of tonight, Dr. Amit Sawant. Dr. Amit is a proven customer-centric leader with extensive experience in enterprise and consumer space, SaaS, analytics, AI, ML, and security. He has an exceptional ability of translating concepts into reality through thought leadership, collaboration, and negotiation skills, and a strong track record of delivering groundbreaking products to the market. He has vast experience in building, mentoring, and managing high-performing global teams. He is the Chief Product and Business Officer at Somatics, where he drives the product business development and sales strategy. He is also an executive in residence with North Carolina State University's Office of Technology Commercialization and New Ventures, a venture mentor at NSFI Corps, a consultant at PenPack, a product mentor and coach at My Product Mentor, a career coach at High Club, and a leadership mentor at Plato. Dr. Amit holds an MBA from the Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania, and MS and PhD in Computer Science from North Carolina State University, and is a pragmatic marketing certified. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Amit. We are thrilled to have you here with us tonight. Handing the session over to you now.
Hey, thanks, Shama. Thanks for the introduction. So good evening, everyone. Really excited to be here and talk a little bit about my journey from being in the engineering space, going into the product space, going from engineering to product manager to the product leader, and then to my current role as the Chief Product and Business Officer. So let me get started. Let me first start sharing my slides. So let me know if you guys can see my slides.
Yes, we can see your slides.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so here, sort of the picture on the right sort of depicts, I guess, my evolution, the way I like to think of myself as sort of a painting where you just need to keep on adding strokes, textures, and then sort of complete that painting. So that's sort of the analogy that I'm going to try and use to describe my journey from engineering into product management and now into the Chief Product and Business Officer. Okay, so here's sort of the outline of the next 50 or so minutes. I'll quickly introduce myself, describe some of my roles, and some of the skills that I acquired, and the lessons that I learned along those roles that have sort of helped me shape my career to some extent. And then I'll talk about some takeaways. So here, sort of the way to look at this particular session is maybe folks might be in different stages in their careers, whether they are either starting off or 5 years, 10 years into their career, looking into transitioning from engineering into product management. And then after being in product management, how is it that they can grow and scale to become a product leader, a people leader, and then maybe also try and get into some sort of the C-suite roles. So I hope that maybe all of you take some pieces from this particular session, and hopefully you can incorporate that in your lives, in your careers, as you look to accelerate in your careers. So that's sort of my hope and goal for the next 50 plus minutes or so. And feel free to ask any questions. I know Shama will sort of cue me as to if there are certain questions that are coming in that would be relevant for the discussion. If not, we can save the questions till the end. Okay. Yeah, okay, so who am I? So this sort of slide depicts my background. I'm married with 2 kids, 10 years, 8.5 years, been married for about 13 plus years. Sort of what motivates me is how do you translate lofty goals into specific actions? That's something that I absolutely enjoy. And the 2 things that I'm really passionate about from a work perspective is people and products. How is it that you can build innovative products? How can you bring people together drive towards a common goal, a common passion, and sort of accelerate their career. So that's something I'm very passionate about, and that's why, as Shama also talked about while introducing myself, is that I also volunteer at quite a few organizations, leadership organizations, to help and grow people. So that's something that I really enjoy. Okay, and here's sort of what I guess my brand looks like. And sort of the first learning experience that I received on this particular topic was during my internship at NetApp. So I was talking to like a manager who wasn't my manager at that time, but sort of she suggested that the work that you're doing here for 3 months, how is it that you're going to portray to the team? Yeah, I know at the end of your internship, you'll give a presentation and, like maybe for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and sort of distill your 3 months work into that time frame. And then people will listen to your presentation and then maybe take certain takeaways, and that would be it. But how is it that you can consistently showcase what you're working towards, what you're building, so that you can leave an impression on people even after you leave, done with your internship and go back to school? So that's where sort of it started hitting me that I need to have some sort of an online presence, whether it's LinkedIn, my webpage, and therefore even if certain changes happen, let's say with certain projects that I worked on, I always make sure that I update my LinkedIn or my webpage. So that's a habit that I inculcated during my internship days, and sort of have continued throughout my career. So here's sort of a breakdown of my education, work experience, some of the volunteer work that I've done and still currently do. So I'm not going to go into too much details on this particular slide, but here I just want like people to think about how is it that you can try and portray your value proposition in a single slide, so that, let's say, if you have to talk to leaders in your company or something, like you have your 30-second, 1-minute pitch ready in terms of showcasing your value prop to your leader or to anyone in a leadership position. Okay. Yeah. So this so my brand is that I'm a data guy. So throughout my career, starting from my academic life into my professional life, one word that describes my background is that I'm a data guy. I started off working on how is it that you can analyze data, visualize data, identify trends and patterns within that data. Then I transitioned into roles and functions where how is it that you can go about storing that data, protecting that data, and overall managing that data. And then I've held various roles, as I showed in the previous slide, from engineering into technical marketing, into product marketing, then into product management. I've also, or still also do like a whole lot of consulting as well, sort of as an independent consultant. So this is sort of the slide that I'll use as a framework to showcase my evolution from engineering into my current role. Okay, and sort of like here, as you can see, sort of in this particular slide, what I'm trying to show is that my background is data. So whatever you see at the top of the iceberg is basically how is it that you visualize the data, see the data, gather insights, trends, and patterns within that data. And what is under the iceberg in the ocean is basically how is it that you store the data, protect the data, secure the data. So that's sort of the intent of showcasing my background embossed on an iceberg. Okay. And sort of, as I was thinking about how is it that I should present this session, what are the lessons that I have learned, the skills that I have acquired, and sort of how is it that I can depict that in a single slide. And this is what will sort of continue in the next 30 to 40 minutes or so as well. So starting off as a researcher, doing my PhD in computer science, acting as a data visualization scientist, then getting into an engineering role. So what are the skills that I acquired, the lessons that I learned, and we'll go into more depth in the next few slides. But here I just wanted to sort of showcase the evolution of that. Then I transitioned into technical and product marketing space. I'll give a little bit of color as to why I decided to move in that direction. So what was my rationale behind that? Then I also did some work in consulting. So what are the skills that I acquired, the lessons that I learned? Similarly, as in a product role, as a product manager, a people leader role in product management, then in my current role as a chief product and business officer, what is it that I learned? And sort of here on the top right, you see that same image in my intro slide is sort of, I think myself as a painting. So like in my early days, sort of was trying to build the foundation. Then as sort of you keep on adding different textures, different strokes to the painting, how is it that you're evolving in your career? So that's sort of the goal of the next few slides. Okay. So let's start off with my first role as a researcher, as a data visualization scientist, and then as an engineer as well. So there, as I said, I worked a whole lot on data visualization. How is it that we can identify trends and patterns within the data that can help you make certain decisions? And here's sort of some body of my work from a visualization perspective. I worked in 2 different areas of visualization, scientific visualization data, which has inherent geometry, and how is it that you can depict the data. So you can consider weather data as sort of that sort of visualization. Then information visualization is where you need to implicitly provide how is it that you're going to represent the data? What are your x-axis, y-axis, z-axis? And then here you can also see sort of a couple of conference proceedings covers where my visualizations have been sort of part of the conference proceedings. So here's, like once again, have always worked on data, whether it's visualizing, analyzing, managing, storing, and protecting the data, right? So now let's get to the point as to, okay, so what are the skills that I acquired? What are some of the lessons that I learned here? Ishama, I think somebody is trying to raise a hand or maybe try and ask a question. Is there any pressing question we need to address?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
I'll take the questions a little later. That's okay. When there is a question. Yeah. Sure
thing. Sounds good. Okay. So, so what are the skills that I acquired in my first, of course, like programming stuff, engineering stuff, sort of how is it that you go about designing a system, a product? So I talked about the data visualization, the data analytics part, the artificial intelligence, machine learning, data storage, infrastructure, the cloud space as well. So not going to go into too much detail on that, but what are the lessons that I learned while I was in these roles? So during my PhD days, the one thing that I learned is how is it that you need to have discipline and perseverance to go inside a topic really deep till you find a solution. Because PhD is not where like you do some number of courses and the end of it you get a degree. But here you really need to work on a novel topic that nobody has worked on and identify certain um, findings that will contribute towards research, towards having new findings in that particular area, right? So at times you go deep in a certain area, but then you sort of come to a dead end in the sense that, okay, somebody else has already worked on this topic. So then you have to switch from that topic, get into a new topic, once again, go really deep into that topic, and then see if that will bear the fruits, the results that you're looking for. So that's where I truly learned as to how is it that you need to be patient, never give up on trying to find a solution, because it's not like you can pick the problem you want to work on. Yeah, at times you can, but at times you cannot. So you still need to have that patience and perseverance to go deeper. Then some of the things that I learned during my engineering days were, at times you'll have uncertainties in terms of trying certain challenges that you're trying to resolve. So how is it that you can, handle those? Because you have a certain limited amount of time to execute on certain feature or capability that you're trying to deliver to the market, right? Based upon the requirements that you have received from leadership. But at times you may not necessarily have sort of the right path to get towards that. So that's where sort of the aspect of having the discipline, having the perseverance, how is it that you go dig deeper and try and find a solution really comes into play. So that's something I still carry with me. So after being in the engineering space for a few years, I decided that I wanted to get more closer to the customers, because what truly attracted me during my engineering days were what is it that the customers are looking to address? What are the challenges that they are running into? And how is it that we as a company are trying to address those challenges? So I wanted to have a direct path closer to the customer. So that was sort of my calling as to why I wanted to get into product management. So maybe we can use the chat section to where maybe you can tell us as to what is your calling. Let's say if you're in an engineering space, or you may not be in an engineering space now, but you want to get into product management. So what's your calling towards getting into product management? So if you can let us know, that would be great. So at the end, we could sort of compile all the data and sort of get some understanding of this crowd as to where your heads are at in terms of moving in your career, right? So that was, as I said, that was my calling towards getting closer towards the customer, addressing the customer challenges. Then how is it that I can work with cross-functional stakeholders to identify those challenges, come up with the requirements that the customers have? What are the skills that we have within the company? What is it that skills that we need to acquire in order to address those customer challenges? And how is it that you can bring all of those things together to collectively address those challenges? And not only the challenges of today that the customers are running into, but what is it that you can forecast 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the line that the customers may run into? And for that, you need to have a good understanding of where the market is at, what the competition is doing, what your core competencies are, what are the things that you need to develop within your core competencies to address the market, not of today, but what it would look like 3 to 5 years down the line. So that's something that really intrigued me and interested me. And therefore, I wanted to, for lack of a better term, break out of the engineering bubble and get a fuller understanding of the entire ecosystem of a product development. Okay, so let's get on to the next role, which sort of was towards my path of getting closer to the customer, and that was in technical and product marketing manager role. So that's where I worked at NetApp. I got exposure to acting as the technical and the product marketing manager for their data protection group, working on data storage as well, and data security as well. So, so one of the biggest skills that I acquired was, how is it that you do storytelling in terms of, because as a technical or product marketing manager, you're sort of working with a lot of cross-functional stakeholders, and different companies may have different ways of doing things in terms of some folks might be inbound, some might be outbound, some might be a combination of these two. But irrespective of that, I think the skill that you really need to acquire is, how do you go about storytelling? In the sense, if you're talking internally to the engineering folks, how is it that you address the customer challenges that they are running into, and sort of communicate that with your engineering folks without trying to come up with a solution? Because sort of the way I look at product management or product marketing is you're working towards understanding what is it that you're trying to solve for and why. That is building a business case around that, and then communicating effectively that to your engineering counterparts, who then would work upon how is it that we go about solving these problems or the challenges that the customers are running into. Then I talked earlier about market research, competitive analysis. How is it that you go about gathering the requirements, then looking at the data, let's say your sales data, trying to dissect that in terms of what are the features, capabilities in a product that are being heavily leveraged by our customers. So how should we go about either doubling down on those requirements, polishing those further, or some of the features, capabilities that are not being heavily used by our customers? How is it that we can fix those so that we can increase the adoption and the engagement across those features, right? So looking at data from a different lens, looking at the sales data. Earlier, I was looking at data from a, like if you're running tests on data storage controllers, like where are the tests failing, identifying trends and patterns within that. But now in my role as a technical and product marketing manager, I started looking at data from a sales perspective, identifying trends and patterns. So whatever data analytics skills that you have, you're still using those skills, but applying it in a different context, looking at a different data set, right? So that's how you build upon those foundational skills, right? Then SaaS was a new space for me at that time, so did a lot of learning on that front. Then sales enablement, that is, how is it now, you bring in the requirements from the outside into the company and work with engineering towards building the products, right? Now, once you have built the product, how is it that you go to market? How is it that you work with your sales counterparts, make sure they understand the value proposition so that they can go back to their customers and sort of effectively showcase what, let's say, the current capabilities, the current features, or the next generation features of the product are bringing to the table, and thereby amplify whatever work engineering has done to make sure that at the end of the day, we are hitting our numbers from a revenue perspective, from a margins perspective, right? So what are the lessons that I did take away in this particular role was mainly around customer centricity. That is, truly start thinking of customer as the focal point, and then working backwards. What are the challenges I talked about a couple of minutes ago? the customers are running into certain challenges today, may run into different challenges the next 3 to 5 years. So how is it that you can work backwards, to the same things that I talked about earlier, sort of working backwards, understanding your core competencies, where the competition is, where the market is, what is it that you should be doing today, not only solve today's problems that the customers or potential customers have, but the problems of the next 3 to 5 years. And then, like you are the company spokesperson because you are talking to customers, to potential customers, are in these executive briefings, showcasing the value prop of the customers. So this is also where I learned a few lessons as to at times what not to say to a customer or a potential customer in terms of the features and capabilities that may resonate, may not resonate with the customers. So that's where I truly learned the lesson that myself, as coming from an engineering background, you are so deeply rooted into like innovation and novel ways of doing things, and really want to showcase that to a customer. But customer is looking at it from a, hey, if you're able to solve the problem using XYZ, great, or ABC, great. I don't care how you use it. I just want my problem to be solved, right? So really talking to them in terms of addressing their challenges rather than, hey, I have a solution. I think it will solve the challenge that you have, rather than doing it the other way, that customer has this challenge and we think we can address this challenge with these particular features or capabilities. So it's just in the way as to how you position your solution. And I also learned the ability to speak different languages. And by different languages here, I mean, how is it that you speak to salespeople, to engineering folks, to potential customers, existing customers, business operations folks, legal folks. So you really need to speak their language in order to get buy-in on things. Engineering, you need to have sort of that technical chops to be able to first earn that trust and credibility. Of course, that's not absolutely needed, but that really helps. Having that technical background helps in establishing credibility with your engineering counterparts. Then with sales, you need to be able to talk numbers, revenue, margins, all of these things. So you need to talk those different languages. And the biggest thing is building relationships with people. I think for any product role, whether it's product marketing, product management, I think it really goes a long way as to how is it that you can build relationships. And then once you have built good relationships, you can establish credibility. And that's something that should be a foundational piece for your career growth in product management or product marketing roles. Okay. And here's sort of at least my chart of the various stakeholders that I worked with, which I talked a couple of minutes ago. So let's move on. Okay, so then I'll talk a little bit about.
Sorry to interrupt you, but before we move on, I think we'll take this question from Murthy.
Sure.
Right, because we have plenty of questions coming in. I thought this would be before we move on to the next part. This question is, what skills and knowledge are required in AI ML for a mid-senior leadership level professional to get into AI ML shift from current delivery engineering product management?
Okay. Okay. So if I understand the question, you may be involved in some aspects of data science, but really want to get into either a company or a role which is heavily centered into AI ML data analytics, and what are the skills that you would need to make that transition? Is that a good paraphrasing of the question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. See, I think it depends upon what skills are already there in a company, right? In this particular space, I'm assuming that, let's say, if it's a very data analytics, AI, ML centric company, there already are data scientists or data engineering team, right? So in order for you as a product manager coming into that particular group, I think having some sort of data analytics background would help. And also developing those skills on your own. I mean, nowadays, there are so many courses, online courses available, either to Coursera, and I'm sure IPL probably also has some courses related to that, which I think without spending, let's say, 1 year or 2 years and sort of getting a degree or something in that particular space, like like Masters of Science in Data Analytics, I think having the ability to be able to connect and speak the language that your data engineering or data scientists speak, that's what you want to get towards. Not necessarily, it's not like you're going to go and develop a classifier or having to know really deeply something about like linear regression or KNN classifiers or something of that sort. I don't think that would be required, but you would need to have the ability to effectively communicate with your engineering counterpart, whether it's the data engineering team or the data scientist, as to what is it that you need to incorporate into the product. Okay, you know what? Yeah, the accuracy of the classifier isn't that great. The sensitivity and specificity are lower than what we would need in a product. If it's at 80% or 70%, we need to get it to 90% or so. Now, how is it that we would be able to get towards that? Maybe you need to collect a whole lot more data, annotate that data so that you can update your classifiers. Or it may be something that, oh, we need to look at more number of features than what we are currently looking at in order to come up with an effective classifier, right? So not necessarily. So I think here breadth is more important in terms of understanding that data science lingo rather than the depth of data science for you to be able to actually go and do the coding. I think that would be my answer as to how you should look at approaching a product management role in a data science heavy company or group.
Perfect. I hope, Murthy, that answers your questions. Please let us know your comments in the chat window. You can carry on now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so the next role I want to talk a little bit about is like a consultant role. So here I did some work with Palo Alto Networks. I got the opportunity to do some business strategy consulting for them, where Palo Alto Networks is known for its physical firewalls. And this was about maybe 5+ years ago, where they started getting into the virtual next generation firewall in the public cloud. And they were trying to gauge the value prop, the premium that they enjoy with their physical firewalls. Does that also translate into the public cloud space? So can you help us understand the market, what the competition is doing, and how is it that we should go about pricing the product? So this was an interesting project for me to work on, where I could use my cloud background, my data security background. I needed to do some more competitive analysis in that particular space. But here are some of the lessons that I learned is how do you go about scoping a project? So here you are working on a loosely defined problem statement, but how is it that you should go about zoning in and scoping the project? So that's really important. And for you to land any of these types of opportunities, because currently I also do independent consulting, where like companies or some research groups come to me about, hey, I see that you have expertise in enterprise storage and data analytics, AI, ML. Can you help us understand the market, or can you help us with X, Y, Z? So the way towards getting these types of opportunities is that you need to build a brand. So think of yourself as a product. How is it that you should build your product and then market your product, right? In the sense, having a good LinkedIn profile that would showcase your value prop. If you're looking at consultancy, maybe having a website that really showcases what you bring to the table. What is it that you can help these potential clients with? And then here also the other lesson that I learned is, how do you go about using your time efficiently? Because see, these consulting gigs, at times, depending upon the type of project and whatnot, you get paid on an hourly basis, right? And you also have full-time work, right? So how is it that you can first, like the first aspect is scoping the project. Then the next thing is, how is it that you leverage your knowledge? What is the new research, new work that you have to do? How is it that you piece all of these things together in a really accelerated fashion, in a very efficient fashion, so that you can make effective use of your time? Because I'm sure, like most of you also have families where you need to give time to your family as well, right? But like you also, and today it's a sort of a gig economy, right, where people like to have these kind of side projects as well. I think, the money aspect is great, but also it's fulfilling to know that your expertise is being sought for and also recognized by potential clients. So then the other challenge that I ran into is, sort of how do I set a price on my time? Yeah, you can do some market research and come up with your sort of your hourly rate in terms of what you would like to charge your client. So that's something sort of I had to learn. And then for you to be sort of really grow into this space, you need to be considered as a thought leader, right? So how do you become a thought leader? And there isn't like, okay, you take a bunch of courses and then, voila, you're a thought leader, right? So here, the way to look at this is, and these days there are so many forums where you can showcase your skills and your expertise. Maybe write a blogs in certain areas of where you have the expertise. Write something on LinkedIn, comment, add value to like where the experts are in the area, start engaging with people, right? And that's how you sort of build up on your thought leadership, and then word gets out, and then people start, like reaching out to you. So that's initially it might be a slow process, but I think it's not something that, I'm just gonna post a bunch of blogs in a month and then be done with it. There has to be, and being a product person, there has to be a roadmap. There has to be consistent effort to get towards that goal. That, okay, maybe set a goal for yourself, have a blog post maybe once a month, maybe twice a month or something. And then that's how you start establishing credibility on these online platforms. And then people reach out to you. Okay, so let's move on, and now let's talk about product management and people leadership. So that's something I sort of started doing at NetApp, Riverbed, and then at Dell Technologies as well. So here's, I won't necessarily go into all of the bullet points, but maybe I'll highlight a few. I know we are also starting to run up on time. So here's, this is a slide that talks about my transition from engineering into product management. So sort of I had to pivot from thinking about the product first towards thinking about things from a customer perspective. And this is something that I talked a few minutes ago as well. And yes, I'm not quite sure how many of you are familiar with Simon Sinek's Golden Circle, which talks about the what, the how, and the why. And this is how I look at. I'm a simple person. I like to think of things in a simple way, and then sort of expand upon that. So the way I look at product management is in these three questions: the why, the what, and the how. So the why is building a business case, looking at the market, looking at competition, what your core competencies are, and building the features and capabilities either in your existing product or for the next generation product, and then building upon that from a requirements perspective. So that's the what. The why is the business case, the what is it that you're building, and the how is something what your engineering counterparts try to address. And that was a big transition for me, because coming from engineering, I always also thought a whole lot from a solutioning perspective on the how aspect of things. But I had to get away, because then, because I used to think from a how perspective, I used to eliminate certain things. Oh, you know what? I understand the challenges in this. It's too hard. It may not, like, we may not be able to do this. So let's remove that feature or capability. So that didn't even made the roadmap or the backlog. So that's something that I had to change. That okay, it is not my role or my goal to think about the solutioning part. I purely want to focus on looking at it from a customer perspective, addressing the what, the why, and then I want to get into a discussion with engineering counterparts as to how is it that we can address those in terms of solutioning that. And then I also needed to expand my circle. We talked about cross-function, like product management is a role where you interact with so many different stakeholders, right? So therefore, building relationships, establishing credibility, that's absolutely critical. So for that, you need to truly expand your circle of influence. And the more senior you get in your product management roles, that circle of influence has to keep on expanding. And the way to keep on expanding is by consistently delivering products, solutions, product portfolios, right? And for all of that to happen, you need to be an excellent communicator. You need to have these soft skills to communicate with people, establish credibility, get their buy-in, and bring people together to work towards a common goal and deliver a product, solution, feature, capability, whatever it may be, right? And then the other thing is be really relentless on your pursuit of why. That is, truly understand why is it that you want to build a certain feature, capability, product, because you really need to be able to convince engineering is, okay, it makes sense for us to go and build these products or features, capabilities, because that's where the market is moving, that's where competition is, that's where your core competencies are or may not be, and we need to develop those. Because prioritization is another big aspect in product management that, you want engineering to work on 10 things, but engineering has only resources to work on 5 things. So the biggest role of a product manager is to come up with the 5 things that would give the highest ROI for your company. In a nutshell, that's what the core role, if you will, that a product manager or product leader has. And then convincing engineering that those are the right set of priorities to go after. So for that, having that data-driven mindset really helps, where you can quantify the prioritizations that you have come up with at times. At times, it may not be possible because at times it may be certain customer experience things that you would want to incorporate or prioritize higher, certain technical debt you may want to prioritize higher. So it all depends upon the things that you're trying to prioritize. The brand part, I talked about it. Yeah, so basically, as coming from engineering into product management, you really need to break out of your shell, build relationships, be great at communicating and bringing people together and driving towards a common goal. Okay, yeah, so this slide sort of summarizes what I just said a couple of minutes ago. Be a great communicator, having the ability to explain the why, and then also make sure that you bring engineering folks along. Make sure that you give credit to people, like you respect people, because you want to build long-term relationships, not transactional relationships, like not just for a particular release, but for months, years down the line. You want to establish that trust and credibility. And thereby, overall, always think of things from how is it that you are driving value for the company? That whatever work you're doing, either on a daily basis, weekly basis, on a release basis, how is whatever you're doing helping to drive value for the company? Be very mindful and intentional in that as to how you're driving value for the company. Okay, these are a couple of images that I took from Product Plan, which talks about sort of the skills that are required as you grow in your product management career. So as a product leader, you're basically as a conductor of the orchestra, trying to balance, like multiple things. And as you grow in your leadership career, more and more your role is how is it that you can inspire the team, bring the team together to work for a bigger cause, and then sort of drive value for the company. As a leader, how is it that you can provide opportunities for your team members to really showcase their skills and shine, right? So as you grow in your career, sort of you start off with more tactical stuff in terms of the release planning, the backlog. Then as you acquire more seniority, you get a chance to work on the product roadmap. Further seniority, you get into product goals, the product vision. And then once after the product vision, as you sort of get into the C-suite, you're looking at it more from a company vision, a company goal perspective, and how all of that fits and ties together, right? So what are the skills that are required? I talked about communication. I talked about prioritization, working with people. That's absolutely critical as a people leader. How is it that you can get the most out of from the people and help them grow at the same time in their careers, right? So in my estimate, these are the few things that I have seen that truly helped me build high performing teams. You really need to have high emotional intelligence. That's absolutely critical. In fact, as you grow in your career, either in product management careers or in general, I think sort of the communication aspect, how do you really relate with people? How do you make them feel? I think those soft skills start to become very important. How is it that in a high performing team, you can hold each other accountable, try things, give people the environment to fail fast. There are no consequences. And that's when you can really innovate and sort of punch above your weight, if you will. earn credibility from cross-functional stakeholders. And something that's very important for me is as a product leader, as a people leader, is how is it that I can build an environment for my team members so that they can truly thrive and give their best. So it is my job to remove all of those obstacles so that they can truly thrive. So, like creating that environment for them to grow and bring their best foot forward. Right. And I personally have a very growth mindset. So sort of the DNA of my teams have always been having a growth mindset. How is it that we can learn from each other? Everybody has to contribute and learn from each other. How is it that we can come together so that we can learn together, thrive together, and then build innovative products that drive value for the company? And then above all, work smart and have fun and enjoy your successes and failures as well, because there's a lot of learnings that you can have from failures rather than successes. Okay, so what are the qualities in great people leader? I know I talked about this in the prior slides as well. So a couple of things I want to highlight here is that, team members, people don't remember what projects that you worked on, but they truly remember how a leader made them feel. Now, for example, I have these 3 or 4 managers, mentors who really helped shape my career. So I vaguely remember the projects that we worked on, but the thing that's etched in my mind is sort of how is it that they made me feel when I ran into challenges? How is it that they provided me with an environment where I could really talk to the person and get some good insights into how is it that I could change without being judged or without having any sort of repercussions for doing that. So that's what you as a leader you want to drive with your team. And then you need to help your team members build their own personal board of directors. And here by personal board of directors, I mean have mentors. Yeah, one mentor may help you in a certain aspect, whether it's, let's say, helping ramp you up on the data science skills. Somebody could be great at leadership skills, some soft skills, communication skills. So you need to start thinking of building your personal board of directors of mentors that will help you grow in your careers. And then the other last thing I want to mention here on this slide is I absolutely work hard towards making sure that I give visibility to my team. So I send out monthly newsletters showcasing what the team has accomplished, achieved, and send it to a broader audience, not just to my manager, but to the entire business unit, or maybe depending upon the size of the company, the entire team as well, the entire company as well, so that they know that whatever work they are doing, it is valued, it is being looked at by other people. So that makes the team members have skin in the game and really feel valued. Okay. So this talks a little bit about work stream. So this is something I work with my team members, and I also have my managers work on. Is you have your day-to-day responsibilities, but on top of that, how is it that what is an individual person trying to do in their career? So how is it that we can enable them to achieve their goals, but also make sure that it aligns with either the business unit goals or the team's goals, and identify and craft projects for them. And then make sure that we hold each other accountable to drive those goals for those team members. So this is something, in fact, my one-on-ones are spent on talking about these work streams. It's more the team member driven rather than driven by me, because status updates, you can do that through emails or through Jira boards or whatever. But the one-on-ones I specifically focus on how is it that I can enable my direct reports to grow in their career. Okay. Yeah, Shama, how are we doing on time? Yeah, just want to make sure if you're okay on time.
About time, and if you're okay, we can take a few questions before we close.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let me maybe just
conclude.
Conclude with a few takeaways. Yeah, so I'll skip on these few slides, but I'll talk about a couple of takeaways. So the way I look at a person's career is a collection of S curves. Like you sort of are inexperienced, you ramp up, you get engaged in your role, and then after that, you start plateauing because things start getting boring or sort of get more routine-ish, right? So as a leader, sort of my goal is how is it that I can compress that inexperience for people? How is it that I can drive more engagement for my team members or for my entire team? And then sort of if a person has plateaued, or how is it that I can come up with new projects for the person to work on so that they can get on a new S curve, hopefully within my team, or find them another team to go to so that they can ramp up on a new S curve, right? So that's how I think of S curves, whether it's in a different role within the same company, or a different role in a new company, or a new industry itself. Like for me, it was going from a high-tech industry, from my experiences at TCS, NetApp, Dell, Riverbed, to Somatics, which is a health tech startup. So I'm on I guess, a different S curve in a new industry. So from a time perspective, I will skip a few slides. But maybe I will end up by saying that a few things that have shaped my career are sort of my travel experiences, either for work or for pleasure, that have really helped me connect with people. From a work perspective, I worked with people in India, like in the US, where I'm currently based, UK, Japan, China, Israel, different cultures. You have sort of different sets, the way people work. So how is it that you can connect with them? So I would recommend you guys to sort of get exposed to different cultures, and that will inherently help you grow, be a better product manager, a better leader. And then finally, I'll leave you all with this sort of image that I started off with. Like you start off with a blank canvas, you add certain texture, certain strokes to it, and then keep on adding that, right? So that's how I look at my career evolution, if you will. So I guess I would say, if I were to pick what my number is, probably I would say maybe a 7, I think. So I'm just curious to know what's your number. And with that, I will stop here, and then Shama, we can take a few questions.
Sure. Well, okay, audience, a quick reminder, you can ask your questions on Zoom in the Q&A section, or you can alternatively raise your hand and I can unmute you and you can ask your question directly to Amit. You can come online. Meanwhile, let's take this question from the Q&A window here. You can also have a look at them, Amit, meanwhile. So this is from Rohan Deshpande. Now, actually, we'll take that at the end. Let's take this question from Karthik. So Karthik wants to know suggestions to market yourself in the company and let people know that you are the go-to person. How, if you have any suggestions?
Yeah, a couple of things that come to mind. I don't know if your company has internal wiki pages or something like that. Maybe a SharePoint page or something that you could have for yourself, where you could make a list of your projects, things that you have worked on. Maybe in your email signature, you could have, like you could have a hyperlink towards your LinkedIn page. And of course, make sure that you sort of keep your LinkedIn page updated in terms of the things that you have worked on. And then find opportunities to showcase your skills, the value that you bring to your team, your business unit, maybe to your overall company. You can find plenty of opportunities like that, whether it's doing certain type of tech talks that typically companies organize as knowledge sharing sessions, or if there isn't one, maybe build a forum for the group that you are part of, and then kick that off by you yourself giving a presentation or talking about something. But of course, also always make sure what is the other person going to get out of that. Always make that connection. That okay, yeah, so if I do this for the team, what are the benefits for the team? What is it that they are going to get? Yeah, I'm going to get some slice of recognition from doing this, but overall the team will get something out of it. And what are those things? So start thinking backwards that, okay, if I were to do this, what is it that the other person is going to learn or going to get out of it? And then also, like work with your manager and identify opportunities for you to like showcase your skills, share your knowledge. So I think there shouldn't be lack of opportunities if there is that willingness from your side to share your knowledge and passion.
Perfect. So let's take this next question from Darshan. How would you suggest transitions should be evaluated and navigated between different S curves, especially if it involves switching between career tracks, example from tech to product management?
Yeah. So I think maybe the question here is that if you were to move from, let's say, from an engineering or technical role into product management, so am I transitioning at the same level? Let's say if you were at, I'll just pick a number, I8 for engineering, going into should I be looking at going into I8 for product management, or should I be at a slightly lower level at product management, right? And I think probably that's the question the person is asking. If that's the case, it kind of depends, depending upon what value you bring into product management. Because at times, in technology companies, certain product management roles are very technical. Certain product management roles are very outbound centric, customer centric. There's a flavor of product management roles across the spectrum in like in our industry. So it depends upon what role you're trying to get at. Let's say if it's very technology centric, where you could bring your portfolio of skills, then it shouldn't be like you shouldn't have to take that big of a hit in terms of having a lower leveled position in product management. But it also depends upon your desire that, okay, you know what, I truly want to get into product management. I know I'm going to, I understand what it entails to get into product management. I know I have flourished in my engineering career. So even if I start at a slightly lesser role, lower level in product management, I can accelerate myself in the product management role faster than compared to my counterparts. So that's a personal decision that you would have to make. At times I've seen people, depending upon where they are in their careers, and at times they are hesitant for switching functions to take a lower level. They are hesitant. At times I've seen people, you know what, I truly want to get into product management at the cost of being at a slightly lower level. So I think it's a personal decision. I think my recommendation would be to gather all of the data, do self-retrospection as to understanding your why, as to why you want to get into product management, and if and then sort of stitch a story for yourself. And if that makes sense, whether by doing some sort of a simple pros and cons analysis, you should be able to arrive at a decision whether you should switch into product management at a lower level or try to fight to get at the same level in product management. I hope that helps.
Sure. Post your comments in the chat window for the answered questions. Now let's go to this next question from Shubhashish. After moving from a software organization to a cloud infra product as a product manager, what is the best way to establish credibility?
Yeah, okay. So from a software company going into the cloud infrastructure space, how do you go about? Is it in the same function that you're getting in? Just need to establish credibility in the cloud space. Is that, should I consider that as the question, or are you switching, let's say, from engineering and software centric company to a cloud infrastructure company in product management? Okay, so maybe we'll consider that you're moving into the same function, let's say in product management, from a software-centric company into a cloud infrastructure company, maybe one of the hyperscalers like AWS, GCP, or Azure, right? So yeah, or OCI. So yeah, having some sort of credibility definitely helps. Like you could get some certifications that these cloud providers have. But I think from a product management perspective, you don't need to have sort of a architect level certifications. I think maybe the beginner level or maybe the second level might be good enough. And also there are these various online forums as well, a Cloud Guru or some others, where you can ramp up your knowledge as well on those parts. Yeah, because at the end of the day, that's one way to establish credibility, is having certifications or just having the knowledge by learning. And also these hyperscalers have their free tiers as well, where you can just try out things on your own. And I think all of this will help as you get into those product management roles at these cloud infrastructure companies, where you would be working on certain features, capabilities. So yeah, at that point, the expectation would be there for you to have some sort of basic to intermediate knowledge about the cloud infrastructure.
Okay, perfect. I think that definitely answers Subhash's question. So in view of time constraints, Amit and audiences, thank you for holding up for so long. And let's take this one last question. This is from Rohit Deshpande. Could you share some resources or websites or portals that you use to find out information about the future customer needs or products or technologies, maybe 5 to 10 years down the line?
Yeah, sure. Like here, I think some of the things that I have used in order to do sort of market research, competitive analysis, is sort of Gartner, IT Expo, TechCrunch, Crunchbase, Verge. There's a great website, I think, Product Hunt, which sort of talks about certain new innovative products that are being released. Then there's a website around Strategizer, and you can sign up for there are blogs, there are newsletters, so that if there's something, on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. So I keep getting these emails, and then like whatever I find interesting, I go click on it, and then I read on it. Yeah, maybe yeah, Shama, I could send you a list after the session about the websites that have been helpful for me, at least. Maybe this is something that you could post on, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the IPL's
Certainly, I can
website,
share it
or
with the
somehow
attendees
send
of
it out.
today's webinar. Yeah, I can do that
Perfect.
definitely. All right then. So in view of the time constraints, we will have to end the Q&A here. Thank you for the participation, enthusiasm, audience. And for any further questions, I'm sure you can connect with Amit over LinkedIn or other mediums. I hope
Absolutely.
that's okay with you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Please do.
You can also scan the QR code on the screen right now to get an exclusive 30-minute session with industry practitioners like Amit to clear all your doubts on transitioning into a product management role. Now, for the final and most exciting part of the session, I request you, Amit, to pick the champion of curiosity here who has asked the best question, and he'll be rewarded with the digital course as promised.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there have been really great questions, so it's definitely hard to pick. But I would say I think Rohan. I would say
Okay.
Rohan's question was really intriguing to me.
Perfect. Rohan, congratulations on winning the free digital course. We'll get in touch with you with the reward shortly.
Congrats, Rohan.
Thank you, Amit, for delivering a brilliant session with great insights. And it was a pleasure having you here. Please accept this certificate of appreciation from the Institute, a small gesture. And if you scan the QR code on the screen, it'll take you to a dedicated Hall of Fame page that we have created for you with the recording of the session. Just give it a few hours for us to upload, though. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'll send it across to you offline as well.
Perfect.
We'll also be uploading the video of the session on YouTube. You can share it within your network, and we'll do the same.
Absolutely.
We are grateful for the time and effort you took, share your thoughts and amazing insights. Thank you once again, Amit, for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. Your time staying a little bit over. It was great. It was great talking to you all. And I wish you all the best in your product management journey. Bye.
And audience, thank you for joining in. It was great interacting with you all. Do not forget to register for the Product Leadership Festival, link in the chat window. And with that note, I end tonight's session. Happy learning and stay skilled. Have a great night.
Great.
Have a great day ahead, Amit. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.